Okay, this is the last one for the day. It might be the last one for a couple days. I'm not sure. My intuition is basically, it's cool when everything is immediate. Uh, she sent me a big strong signal this morning. But there were things I wanted to just cover here because of things that I wrote down that I thought were important to simply share because it's the truth. But one thing I wanted to mention, because I talked about how you clear the lower matter density consciousness experiences. And I posted a comment on Indoctrination. It was a pretty long comment about what are known as joining operators. And this is basically it. They considered a keyboard, okay? And they do this particularly on all their fake Facebook identity pages. And so they'll sit at a keyboard and they know exactly what words to use, okay, to create an argument, okay, or present a word that in our mind, because of the way that that word is translated neuro-linguistically, creates a lower vibrational response in which we just lost lower vibration. Now we're in a lower state of consciousness. Now we're no longer experiencing what we were once experiencing until that keyboard operator punched a word in. Okay, so it's the nature of the war. You know, that's why I mentioned before about Michael Flynn's page where he had that little goodie up there that showed digital warriors, red and white, you know, and then you see the town hall meeting with President Trump in the circle of the pentagram, right? The white star with the red background, red shoe club, the mask order and all that stuff. I mean, it's in everybody's face now, but that still doesn't mean people are translating this because, obviously, because I experience this, because I'm aware of it throughout all of my, you know, wherever I go, I'm very aware of what others are aware of, okay, and what they're not aware of, because you can read the density of the consciousness that I'm thus getting the communication signals to that our antennas are picking up. That's what we are. We're antennas. Okay, so if you have a very deep, heartfelt level of empathy for everything that is living, you know, to the point where you cannot stand to experience anything that is living, no matter what it is, whether it's a dog, whether it's a cow, whether it's a horse, whether it's an insect, whether it's a bird, anything in nature, another human being, and you experience a loss in their energy, which means they're suffering. If you're experiencing the pain of that in your own heart, for example, because of the empathy and compassion that you have, that means that your antennas are extremely sensitive. And that means that you're able to pick up and absorb essentially all the different energies that are occurring on every level. That's why when I was in Hawaii, I didn't realize how sensitive my antennas were becoming, because I swatted a tiny insect that wasn't even an inch long off my mattress and realized I'd hurt it, and I cried, and I felt bad that I'd hurt it. That's a measurement. That's a measurement of how deep empathy and compassion for everything that's living, that is alive, that is self-aware in the cosmos, that is in nature. Because that little bug is in nature, okay? So these are scalar measurements that we make of basically how we're moving through the cosmos at any one particular time in which we're experiencing the energy that we're using to experience ourselves with in relation to everything else that is self-aware, that is communicating to us what they're experiencing, which is an energetic communication in frequency, which is based on the consciousness of the density of the being that's experiencing who they are in that frequency. Okay? So they know how to sit at a keyboard and use language, computer language, which is represented by a frequency. So thus, when you look on a YouTube comment or on a Facebook page, that comment is represented by a frequency that's being transmitted, that you thus now experience what that is. That's an interface. That's a computer communication technology information interface. So who released the internet to everybody on the planet? DARPA, the dark. So it stood to reason, of course, when we knew this 60 some odd years ago, when I saw all of the chip tech, everything is information processing, start with that. The entire cosmos is an information processing communicator between everything that is self-aware. So the evolution of the cosmos is an evolution of the sum of its parts of what everything that is self-aware that is learning from everything else that is self-aware that we're learning from. Okay? That's a lot of moving parts, isn't it? Right? So you can imagine what it's like when you're living spirit and you want to move at the highest speed you can possibly get because you want to experience everything there is to experience in the cosmos. So anything that is holding you down, you don't want anything slowing your speed down, do you? Not me. So I want to go as fast as you can go, which means you want to reach the highest state of consciousness that is possible to experience the entire cosmos. So that means you're wanting to learn through all of the most powerful teachers. Nature is the most powerful teacher. So you're learning through nature by being with her. See? She's showing you the way. You're with her, your state of consciousness, and your living spirit is anchored and grounded to hers. Right? So that's how it works. That's how it works because I experience it that way. That doesn't mean everybody else does, but that's how I experience being with her. Okay? So anyway, I want to make sure that I get through this without building another tree that goes off in the universe somewhere, except to say that logic is a filter to discriminate sanity from insanity. So this is where the programmers come in, who use antennas of communication technology in which unstable frequencies are programmed into the unconscious memory to get triggered on demand later on, and those are all your MK Ultras. Okay, so that's one of the reasons why I heard this morning about the National Guard being deployed in a lot of the major cities, because I know I just left San Francisco. Okay, so yeah, no doubt, everything was boarded up. I tried there's certain reasons why I go to certain places to find certain things out, which then sort of put the puzzle together on what's actually happening there. And what I realized there is it used to be when you went to San Francisco, if you went down to 5th and just on the other side of 5th and Harrison Street is where the oldest gospel mission is in San Francisco that had a men's shelter there. It's closed up. Okay, as a matter of fact, you couldn't even get into a shelter. But what you could get into, if they had it availability, was a hotel room. So now you begin to realize, and I had heard through the grapevine, that they were given a lot of freebies. Getting alcohol, getting drugs, cars to be able to buy things, new tennis shoes and stuff like this. Okay, so if you don't have your own plan, you're going to end up being somebody else's plan. Isn't that right? You know, this is the importance of maintaining the autonomy. It's one of the reasons why, and I've known this just about myself my whole life, I don't follow anybody. This isn't to say there are not other beings that I've met throughout my life that don't have an enormous wealth of knowledge and wisdom. They do. But what I don't do is I don't attach myself to them, because then that creates drag. Okay? If you understand how density consciousness drag works, which is why, like, I've always wanted to be a free spirit, because it means when you're a light worker trying to restore the light, you don't want to be held captive by something that's attaching itself to you, that's lowering your density, because when that happens, you're not able to burn and broadcast the highest amount of light because you're using all your energy to do it with. See? That's how it works. So I'm always finding myself having to be free so that my state of consciousness is able to do that. So if all of a sudden I get distracted and I'm having to put my state of consciousness attention to something that is running lower frequency density consciousness than I am, there are times, obviously, because of the relationships that I've had with other females who've been severely traumatized, I therefore realize and acknowledge they need to be healed. So I will spend whatever amount of energy and time that I need to try and restore what? The heart wheel. A circle of light within their heart. So they can spin their Merkaba up and get it back up and burn off all of the experience that they've had as a result of the trauma that they've experienced. That's the spin of your Merkaba that can do that. They can feel how much love and how much light you have within you to share with them because they remember that energy. It will punch through PTSD. I experienced that with Misha because of everything she experienced being basically raped by her uncle when she was a child, as I remember it, around the age between 2 and 3. And then, of course, she was continually raped, physically beaten, and abused emotionally, physically, and sexually most of her life. Okay? And I had her at one point in time in her house after being there for a couple of days when she was just like within a hair follicle of just releasing all that pain, all of it, out of her heart into me. And what happens is that becomes an energy transfer, okay? Which means, go ahead, girl, transfer all that lower density trauma into me because I can burn it off, okay? And I had her within a hair follicle of making that transfer. And that would have allowed her, because I pictured it in my mind, what the result would be was to see her arms both go up, having released all those experiences that are in her DNA, in which my heart, through her heart, she transfers it to mine. That frees her heart to spin her own Merkaba at a higher rate of speed. Now it's cleared. Now her timeline is cleared in her DNA through my heart chakra, and then I can burn that off with my own. That's how healers do it. The heart wheel is the most powerful way to transfer, burn off, or dissolve those experiences so that her heart wheel is back up and running again, see, as a result of all the trauma that she's experienced. But unfortunately, she didn't want to give that final moment up, and she began crying her tears out for almost 30 minutes after that, and she could not let go of Xanax and alcohol. So I spent as much time with her as I could until I realized that I was spinning my wheels, that she just wasn't ready. It's just, when she's ready. When she's ready, she'll make a commitment, which means she's willing to put forth a positive effort because it's something that she really wants to do. And that will be demonstrated by the effort, the amount of energy that she's willing to put into it. But again, this is when you realize she's possessed. She's got a demon in her. Okay? So these are not easy to purge. Okay? When a demon's got a hold of her. So that's how it works. It's purging demons. When you get into the lower vibrational state as a result of all the trauma and the sexual rape and all the rest of that, that really low vibration allows for that vessel to become a host vessel for a demon to just move right on in. And this gets back into what I mentioned about the 7 seconds of darkness, more darkness, okay, that allows more, if you will, demons to come into the realm. They continue to reproduce more and more of those as a result of more trauma across the planet. So now you begin to realize why some females jumping out of windows on Wall Street, there's demons everywhere. And there are. So this became a major job. When the gloves came off, it means this is a major purge. When a goddess decides, okay, that's enough. I've taken on enough parasites here that are feeding on the light, particularly when Patty mentioned to us that the shield was down 25%, that's it. That's enough. The energy harvesting in this planet is done. Okay, so that's the good news. So that's about the programmers. And then the last part I wanted to mention here has to do with some stuff I was shown this morning about 528. What are known as the 12 tonal frequencies of temperament. And they changed, the Roman Catholic Church changed, and I knew this before, but I didn't remember the exact numbers. There was a change in 1914 from A417 to 440. And what happened? World War I? And so all the music sold today is atonal and counterproductive. The music of today is at dis-ease with the human body. So this is where we get into what I talked about, I think, before, about Genesis, chapter 7, verses 12-83. You have a pattern of 6 repeating light codes around a series of sacred numbers, which is 369. Tesla, remember? So when deciphered using ancient Pythagorean method of reducing the verse numbers to their single-digit integers, the codes revealed a series of 6 electromagnetic sound frequencies which correspond to the 6 missing tones of what is known as the ancient Solfeggio, Solfeggio, scale of music. And that's when we get into the 55 harmonic, the scales of music. So in other words, the music in this planet was distorted, which means it's not in harmony with itself. Okay, not in harmony and balance with nature. That's why all the things were being done to nature. Okay, so there's a great book by Leonard Horowitz and Dr. Joseph Puleo called The Healing Codes for the Biological Apocalypse. And I saw that on Soma Energetics. So what we're doing is we're healing all separation from the light, which is the divine light of source. The light of living spirit, which is what we are because we celebrate life with love. That's a circle of light, which is a circle of drums, because when we have a circle of drums, we are raising the living spirit in Mother Earth, and all the living spirit that is in nature comes out with us to sing and dance. So we're celebrating the home of the human heart, which is what love is. And that's as simple as it gets. So we're returning to that. So that's why it's important, particularly now, to try and do those kinds of things together with your family, with your friends. And remember that over the next few days, and this is particularly true of tonight with Halloween, and those that don't know this is always a major sacrifice night for the Satanists. Okay, so we need to try and stay in our hearts, okay, and keep our positive vibrational up. Pray for President Trump. Send positive energy to everybody that is out there on the front lines that is fighting this spiritual war against demons. Okay? So that we can continue that fight after Trump gets elected and continue to purge the rest of these demonic entities off this planet and restore sanity amongst the people that live in this country and around the world, which is restoring the frequency, which is restoring the light, which is restoring the sanity. So that we're not doing things with each other anymore that represent going in reverse, which is losing light instead of gaining light. Spinning the Merkaba at a higher rate of speed, and when we're spinning the Merkaba at a higher rate of speed, then we are naturally sharing with others bright bulbs. And when that happens, everybody's healing each other, and that means that nature's going to heal with us. Because everything out in nature is going to feel our energy going up. So imagine that you're out in nature and a deer walks up to you, okay, and it has, its family. And I experienced that a couple of years ago when I realized, whoa, look at this. Okay? A doe with her fawns that are with her coming up within 10 feet. And you begin to realize everything in nature is picking up through their antennas the broadcast that you're putting out there, and realizes they don't have anything to fear from you. And the next thing you know is that everything in nature wants to be around you because you're magnet. That heart wheel that you have is so powerful that you begin attracting everything. You begin attracting grasshoppers. In Hawaii, they have an old tradition of attracting grasshoppers. I used to attract grasshoppers, and I didn't know that that was part of something that was in Hawaiian ancient tradition. Hey, you got a grasshopper on you. The grasshopper's attracted to the light, But anyway, it's like Tarzan and Jane. You know what I'm saying? You have a spiritual communication relationship with your pineal gland and your heart wheel, and your heart and soul and spirit with everything else is in nature. And when you're in harmony and balance with nature, then imagine how everybody's thriving in nature. So we can turn this around, right? Help heal the planet and heal our hearts. That's why we're here, isn't it? So anyway, 19 minutes. I'm 19 minutes in. Okay. What's the last part I should say here until I'm done? Well, that really is about it. It's we're all heading in the right direction. That's why I say that all the time, because you just know these things. It's like having a big ass looking glass. It's just like I mentioned on a comment earlier this morning. Hell, man, the Arcturians are here. Okay. When I saw them coming in here, and I saw Battlestar Athena, and I saw the Blue Kachina, and I saw what they were doing, shepherding Draco ships. It's like it's over. They're done, and they are done. Okay, so that's the good news. So anyway, I hope you all have a happy weekend, and that your energy's up, and everyone's enjoying a state of love and joy. Have a great day. Love you all. Bye now.